What are you eating? This is the Fernando trail mix?
Yeah.
So you guys have seen what I like. This is what he likes. Guess what we have today? Are you excited?
I'm excited.
This is a car that you guys have not seen ever.
No?
No, never. They've never seen this. Just kidding, we got a Ford F-150. This is a little bit older F-150 where we have to remove that whole centerpiece, which is cool. We haven't done a lot of these on the show, I don't think. Honestly, I don't remember, it's kind of all a blur. Anyways, we're gonna put a new radio in, a new Pioneer. We're putting in 4 Alpine speakers. You've just wired up the backup camera right there. And we're putting a Sirius XM in it. Let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and get these. He already put the covers on this, but then he got sidetracks. We're gonna head and get the seat covers on and put the armrest up. So now this truck doesn't have steering wheel controls. It just has the factory basic aux. It doesn't have the USB. Hey, did you already check for CDs?
Yeah.
So there's no CDs in it. Let's go ahead and get this radio out of here. To get this radio out, you're gonna need a couple things. Some form of a panel tool, and then some form of a 7mm socket. First thing you wanna do is come down to this guy right here, and this is going to pop out. And it is not the easiest thing to do. Now, if this has a factory USB in it, and you want to retain that, go ahead and pull this guy out right here. It'll be plugged in right here. You can unplug it, snake it back down to the radial. You'll need a USB GM1 from PAC. Pull the 2 top screws here. Now what you need to do is come all the way down to the bottom and just kind of pull up a little bit. Just kind of work it out like this. Do the same on this side. And there you go. Now in this particular year, you can get away with doing that. On the next model up year from this, you do have to pull out the airbag to pull this off, and you have to pull this one off too because there's screws behind each one of these air vents. But this model, no problem. All right, we have the radio faceplate off. Let's go ahead and pull the radio out. Radio's out. Let's head over to the bench and talk about what we're gonna be putting in this car. So to get the radio work, the first thing we're going to need is the PAC Audio C2R FRD1. This is going to provide us with some of the essential things we need in order to get the radio to turn on. For one, this car has no accessory behind the dash, so this is going to provide the accessory for us. This is also going to give us the reverse trigger. It's going to allow us to retain the auxiliary harness. If it had a factory subwoofer, this would allow us to retain that as well. Now this truck is a base model, so we can retain the auxiliary through these RCAs. If this was not that, meaning it had the sync system, then these RCAs wouldn't work. A lot of the times you see us, we'll actually cut it and solder in. That's why, because it has the sync system. This one doesn't. We're going to use this. This also has no steering wheel controls. Anytime you see a C2R, that's what that means. You can add them, but it doesn't have them built in. Next on the list is 2 pairs of the SPS 517 S-types. Now, the 5x7s come with some goodies, so don't just throw the box away. Comes with some really nice foam, comes with some spacers, comes with, of course, the pigtails if you're gonna use in this thing. Comes with these black guys right here. These are spacers as well. These are really nice. These are good to use for amp risers. I've actually never used them on the speakers. Of course, it comes with a bag of screws. Now, like I said, it comes with 2 spacers. It comes with one if you just need to make it thicker and stick out some. It comes with this guy right here. It's about 1/4 inch. And it comes with this, which is, I believe, a 6x8 to 5x7 adapter. And of course, we have a bunch of parts. We have an antenna adapter. We have the SVX 300 Sirius XM tuner. Inside the box is, of course, the antenna and the tuner itself. Now, for those of you that are installing one of these, on the box, right on the back, it has the ID number right here, which is this guy right here. It's also on the back of the tuner right here next to this. And then in the third location is on the radio itself. If you turn the radio to channel 000, it's there as well. So there's 3 locations for that number. We're going to be using the USB DMA1 flush mount USB adapter. we're going to drill this right next to the factory aux where the sync one would have gone. And then for a dash kit, we're going to be using the BK FMK 526. This comes with the actual front bezel. You're going to have to move over the air conditioner as well as the cigarette lighter. And inside the bag is a second kit, which is the BK FMK 540, which is just the double din kit that's going to go into that. And of course it has some cool instructions on how to take it apart. And then last but not least, we have a 7100 NEX. So now that we know what's going in this car and we unboxed it all, sitting right there, we're going to go ahead and while Fernando's working on the backup camera, he's going to be coming right along here. I want to get out of his way, so I'm going to go ahead and start by putting the speakers in so that he can take all the time he needs in this area right here. So we'll start with the back door and then do the front door. Let's get going. We got the Alpine speaker mounted. We went ahead and foamed the back and then put the foam that it comes with around the front to help it couple with the door panel. This guy's all done. Fernando's getting extremely close. Actually, I'm already tripping over him. So I'm actually gonna stop right here. I'm gonna move to the other side so I can work on that and get out of his way. So now that we have the speakers done, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the wiring harness, get this all set and ready to go into the car. Go ahead and remove the tape as we always do. This harness right here, this is the one we want to take a quick look at. What this has is this has the auxiliary and the rear seat entertainment. The rear seat entertainment is way over here on the far side of the plug, and the auxiliary is over here on the opposite side of the plug. What we want to do real quick is just plug it into the car, make sure that there's something there. Alright, so this lines up perfect here. Let's go ahead and grab the main harness and see what we got on that. So over here on the main harness, this only has one little wire on it, and then the rest of the middle section is open, and that wire isn't here. So all these middle wires here are not going anything, so we can remove those if we need to. And then of course we don't have the third harness, which is the subwoofer harness. All right, let's get back over to the bench. All right, so let's cut down on the amount of spaghetti we have here. We can go ahead and remove the stuff that isn't in the car. Real quick, for those of you that are unfamiliar with smart harnesses and Fords, what you'll notice is that this area right here between the main power and the speaker, this is where all the illumination, steering wheel controls, accessory key, amplifier turn on, power antenna turn on. All those would be here in this little guy right here. In the car, there's nothing there except for one wire, which is like not where the accessory would be. So there is no accessory in this car. So we need something like this to generate the accessory. And also, because it is a smart harness, as we said earlier, it's going to give us our emergency brake, our reverse trigger, and a VSS if we need it, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. So if you pull your radio out and you grab that, you know, regular factory adapter plug and plug it in, and you see that, like we just checked to see what was on the other side, and you have your red wire there and there's nothing on the other side, you need a smart harness. Alright, so we have a lot fewer wires on here now, but we're still gonna go more and remove some more of them. Over here is the color code for the car, and like we just said, it has wires for reverse and all that. This is an older harness as far as in the production of when it's a new harness, meaning it's brand new, it's up to date and all that, but the wire codes are older. They haven't been brought up to what the current wire codes are, and particularly the purple white. On this one, the purple white is VSS. On a Pioneer or a Kenwood radio, the purple white is reverse. On this, the green is reverse. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to switch them. Go ahead and pull out this green, and then we'll pull out the purple white. Be careful not to crush it. We'll lift the tab back up and we'll put it in where the green was, so now it's pinned the right way. The other color on here that we're not going to use is the red white. The red white is the parking brake wire, which if we did want to use it, we could move the green over to that so that it matches the green on the radio. But for this, we're not going to need it. Alright, so now what we have is a much less cluttered harness. We're going to go ahead and pretty this thing up. Alright, real quick, as we're dissecting this and making it better. On the red wire, right on this instructions right here, it says the red wire puts out a 1 amp turn on. That's it, 1 amp. We are adding a backup camera, so that 1 amp is not going to be enough to turn on the camera and the radio. So for that, we're going to use a relay. To do that, we're going to need a couple extra pieces of wire. We're going to need a little black, we're going to need a little yellow, we're going to need a little red. How it's going to wire up? So the red wire coming from the harness is going to go to 85, and then we're going to need, like I said, the yellow and black. Put yellow on 87, put black on 86. Now there's little numbers here, that's what I'm referring to if you guys are like, what is he talking about? And this is just a standard Bosch style 5-position relay that you can pick up at the auto parts store. Now last but not least, 30 is going to go to our new accessory wire that's going to run out to the backup camera and the radio. So what this is doing is this is using the constant 12 volts that the radio has behind it to power up all the accessories. So it's a higher amperage output than just 1 amp. Alright, so the prep on our harness is done. We are going to put a little bit of zip ties on it, but what we essentially have is our 8 speaker wires, and then we have our outputs here. So we have the orange white, which is illumination, red is accessory, black is ground, blue white is the remote turn on. Hook it up. Anytime you're doing a smart harness, just always hook it up. Even though this isn't getting an amp or anything, hook it up. Yellow is constant 12 volts or memory, and the purple white is going to be the reverse trigger. We're going to go ahead and solder this into our Pioneer harness, and we're going to be done. So ready and done. So let's look and see what we have going on here. We have the plug for the backup camera right here. We have the RCA that's going to plug into the back of the radio. We've gone ahead, and this has RCA outputs for the auxiliary plug. We've gone ahead and added on an actual aux input so we can plug it into the Pioneer's aux. We have the relay right here. It's all taped up harness. And we have the smart harness right here. We've also went ahead and added this guy right here. This is just a remote turn on pigtail output. Just in case he decides he wants to add a sub amp, I don't have to cut all this back open again. This guy is done. Let's set this aside. Let's see what Fernando's up to. What you got going on over here?
I'm just finishing the USB adapter.
So we went ahead, this is where the factory aux goes.
Correct.
This is where we're mounting our USB. This is that little panel removed at the beginning of the video to get the radio out. This would also be where the factory
USB
would be.
Yep.
Then he also went ahead and added in the Sirius XM antenna, ran it down through here, and then we ran it through the grommet and the firewall. And then once it's all done, the wire comes in through the grommet right here. So once inside the engine bay, there's a nipple right right here, we went ahead and cut that off. You put the antenna through, and then as you can see, we went ahead and put some 3M strip caulk on there, insulated the wire, and that's all ran back up into the dash. So the last part is the dash kit. We still have to build that. You guys have seen us build a ton of dash kits. You guys know how we do that. What I want to show you is the front panel, that beautiful piece in the front, because we have to remove the air conditioning controls out of it and the cigarette lighter. So let's go ahead and hop over back to the bench and do that. So anytime you're going to work on a dash kit of any kind and you have to turn it upside down, make sure you put something on the bench that will keep it from getting scratched. Now there's 3 parts of this dash kit we have to remove. The top hazard switch, the air conditioning controls, and the cigarette lighter. This uses a T20 Torx. There's 2 clips here that you have to push in, and you think, oh yeah, just put my fingers on it. No, they're really in there tight. Now last but not least is the cigarette lighter. Now the cigarette lighters are always tricky because you have the black housing here which has this piece on it and the silver thing that has to slide through it. There's 2 little teeth that hold it in place and they are a bear. We go ahead and put it back in the bag that we took the other kit out of. Set it aside. Now on the cigarette lighter there is a notch that matches a notch here in the dash kit. Go ahead and line those up, snap them into place. And there's 2 more notches on this. Line those up, push it in, done there. Let's go ahead and get the air conditioning controls back in. Go ahead and screw these in about, 3/4 of the way. And then as you know, I like to hand tighten them the rest of the way down. Alright, the last part of this is this hazard switch, and I will tell you that a lot of the times this likes to rub up in this hole. So go ahead and get yourself a sharp alpha blade, turn it upside down, and just kind of work this top area here, getting any burrs or anything like that that might get in the way of this functioning properly. As you can see, the buttons are sticking. Let's go ahead and get that back out. And anytime you're going to file this thing, always file it from the back so you don't scratch the front. Alright, once you get it filed down enough so they work, don't forget, do the top and the bottom just to make sure you get them both. Even though the bottom is going to be flat, that doesn't mean you don't have to file it. Alright, once you got that all set, this is good to go. Let's go ahead and let's just meet over in the car, shall we? So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is plug in the harness. Got the backup camera. Now when you're doing these backup cameras like this that have this dedicated harness, whether it be small or big, make sure they have arrows. Line up the arrows. What's the weather like today?
It's currently clear and 64.
Alright, remember to test your radio before you put your dash back together. Now when you're doing this, go ahead and put it in from the driver's side first. Get that in, and then you can do the passenger side. And then once you get that, make sure you get the bottom. There's a pin on the bottom. Make sure you do the bottom before you push in the top. And there you go. Put the 3 screws left back in. We good?
It is good.
Remember, we put speakers in this, so even though it was just something as simple as a radio, you always want to test your polarity just to make sure that they're all hooked up properly. If you're not doing an amplifier, it really doesn't matter. If one's out of polarity with the other, it's still gonna sound like poo-poo, and you don't want that. Who wants poo-poo sound, right?
Nobody.
Exactly. All right, guys, this one is done. Another F-150 goes into the record books as far as done.
The million ones.
Yeah, the millions. And anyways, bad rock imitation. All right, guys. On to the next one.